Erbauer. In this video, we're going to get all of these power tools organised in this toolbox here. I don't know if it's all going to fit. We've got to get it all done in shadow foam. That's the challenge. Let's get into it.
Let's go.
Hey guys, Jonathan here at Shadow Foam, and this week we have a bundle of Erbauer Power Tools. Now these aren't mine, these are one of the team at Shadow Foam, brought in their Erbauer tools because they had this drill combi set. So this is an impact driver and a combi drill in a nice little box, blow molded case with two 2 amp hour batteries and a charger, and that's great. And then they picked up a circular saw and then subsequently picked up a sander, another battery or two, and a few other bits and bobs. And what do you do? This is quite a common situation, right? Even for a DIYer who's kind of getting into power tools, and even builders, tradespeople, you start adding to your kit, you outgrow your kit, what do you do then? You know, you need to take all these to a site. Even if you want them all organised in your house, all tidied out of the way, what do you do with them? Well, you boil them down into a box like this. This is an Erbauer mid box. So this is from Screwfix and B&Q sell these. Great price, ping. You get this in like a triple stack. It comes with like a roll box and a top, or you can buy them individually. These Erbauer boxes are great because they're modular, but they're like a starting off system. They're cheaper than a Milwaukee pack out system or a DeWalt tough system because they're infinitely expandable. These are typically a triple stack, and then that's it. Once you've filled it, you've filled it. You'd have to have 3 or 4 of them and have some sort of train going along, maybe a tow hitch. But with the Milwaukee pack out, the tough system, you can go higher. But this system is great, it's cost effective. The only problem with it is, like all of these boxes, it's just a big empty cavity. It's just like a big bucket, and that is where Shadow Foam comes in, and it excels because with Shadow Foam inserts we can get the whole box organised and get it all laid out nicely. The only problem here is there's a whole ruck of stuff, and even if I just put all of this in there loosely, you can see it pretty much fills the entire box. But this is typically how people operate with these boxes, isn't it? You'll just put everything in there, close the lid and forget about it, but it's dead hard to get things in and out. You might forget to put something back. You're not going to notice immediately if your impact driver's not gone in there. And then the other annoying thing sometimes is you chuck it all in one way and it fits, you put it all in another way and the lid won't close. So that is the challenge, that's all the stuff. We've got to get it all in there in Shadow Foam, nice and organised. I'm pretty sure I could do something with it. It will be a tricky job, but I'll take it on. So what we're going to need is a bunch of Shadow Foam inserts. Now we make inserts for this box, the mid box, the top box, the bottom box. We do a full set, the triple stack. It's all on shadowfoam.com. Now this box is made by Erbauer, but it's also made by AEG, Rigid, Magnuson, JCB made one. There's loads of brands that basically take this mold. You know, everything's made in China nowadays. This is made in China, it's a mold, and they basically just change the color of the latches, change the color of the front plate, change the logo on it, and then it's all different prices. We'll put links to all this stuff in the description below, but our inserts will fit them all. If the box looks like this, even if it's Magnuson, JCB, Rigid, one of those, our inserts will fit in here. For this box, we're using the mid inserts, and we've got 2 twin packs of 50, and then we've got a single 30mm, and that takes us all the way to the top. We'll glue a couple of these together and probably end up with a couple of layers, but I think we can get it all in there. So that's the challenge. That's all the foam. The only other thing I need is our basic cutting kit, and they have everything I'm going to need to do this job. So they've got the anti-cut gloves, they've got the scalpel, 5 blades, it's got the forceps for putting the blade safely on the scalpel handle, it's got the instructions and a sticker. So that's all you're going to need to do the job, and that's all I'm going to need. So I'll get my glove on and let's get a layout sorted. So that is the layout, and I'm pretty confident that they are all going to fit. I've only got 1 battery unaccounted for, so I'm going to have to figure out where that's going. But because this is a 3D shape, we're going to be gluing all 3 of these 50mm layers and this 30mm layer together. I'm going to have a fair bit of depth available. So for example, this blade section here is super shallow, so that's not going to be sat under much foam. So there's a very good chance I can squeeze that battery just there, but we'll wait and see. I'll put that one on pause. Everything else though is going exactly where it's placed. This is the top tray. So this is the exact same insert, except for I've trimmed it down a little bit. I've cut a little bit off the front because there's a lip on the front of this box here, which would stop that tray lifting out. So we've cut about 1 inch off the front. We've then cut the angles on the 2 front corners, which means that it'll lift out the case nicely. And then we've extended, there was already 2 square little inlets on the sides of the insert to kind of relief cut around the mold of the case. We've made that bigger to make those handles. So that is a top tray that'll lift out. So we've got the impactor, the combi, the charger in there. And then what is left is essentially going to be a really deep insert to house the circular saw, the sander, and then this little filter thing. And I think if we cut all the way through this 30mm, we can then transfer that profile onto the lower layer, the lower layer, the lower layer, then save all those cutouts, put them back in, use them as masking, and then we can spray glue over the top, glue it all together, and end up with one really solid bonded insert that'll house both of these and the filter. And all being well, we'll also include that 5 amp-hour battery. So I'm pretty confident, but we're only going to know for sure when I start cutting the foam. So let's get into it. So for this, when I'm cutting foam, it's a case of cutting through most things. There'll only be a couple of areas, like possibly with this, where we cut and peel. So I'll show you that when we get to it, but most of these items we're literally just cutting all the way through. This is as easy as it sounds. You literally place the item where you want it to go, and you use the scalpel like a pencil. You just draw around the profile with the scalpel. That means you don't get any like pen that you've got to wipe off, you don't get any marks on the foam, and you can go nice and steady transferring that profile onto the foam. Once I've made the outline, I can then move the tool out of the way and then cut all the way through the foam. So that's it. Let's get cutting. And there we go, that is all done. That is a very complex insert. That is probably one of the most difficult ones I've done. I've not tried it in the case yet, but I'll talk you through it. So we've got 3 50mm layers here, all glued together. And I use the same technique I use all the time, save the offcuts, spray the glue over the top, take the offcuts out, and that way it masks it all off, you don't get any overspray. We've got the circular saw fully cut in all the way down to the base layer. And then this layer here is a loose layer because we've got a battery buried here. So these 3 go together. They house the circular saw, the sander, and the filter for the sander. And then we've got underneath the circular saw, we've got the battery with some finger pulls either side. Just did those finger pulls with the stencil set. And then we've got our little guide for the circular saw too underneath. Now in order to get those in, we had to be a little bit clever, because this kind of blade section is really shallow, but it kind of covers and hides these 2 items. So that's the base layer, and we needed that top section here to support the tray. So this is just a sheet of foam, it's 50mm, and it's sturdy enough to hold those tools in there without bending too much. And you can see there, we've not cut all the way through. So how did we do this? Well, same technique as on the base layers. We cut all the way around the item, and then we peel back the foam. To peel back the foam, I just push my finger down one end, pull it back all the way along, and then we have to peel out a few layers, because as you can see here, we've gone down about 40mm into the foam on that one. Same on this one, and then this little kit here, we've done 2 layers, 20mm. Doesn't need as much depth. And that is the job done. So I want to see now, do they fit in the case? Let's get them in there. So that is it, completed, and I think this is one of the most efficient mid toolboxes we've ever done. Every single brand, DeWalt, Milwaukee, all of the different power tool cases make a similar mid box to this. And in there we've got a full circular saw, full kind of palm sander, and all the bits and bobs. We've got an extra battery hidden under there, and then this lift out tray. So that is about as efficient as you're gonna get. I'm loving it. I hope you did too. Let me know in the comments what you think of this. And if you use these Erbauer tools, I'd love to hear your thoughts on them, because obviously these aren't mine. And from my point of view, handling them, they feel like good quality, but I've not used them. So I'd love to hear your comments down below. Make sure you subscribed if you enjoyed this video. Click the bell icon so you don't miss any of our future videos. And a big thumbs up would be appreciated for all you Erbauer fans. Thanks very much for watching, and we'll see you next time.